Welcome to this panorama picture of my garden. Today I'm going to sketch out my plans for this area in terms of layout and plants. I've already sown or bought most of the plants that are going here, so to begin with I'm just going to write down a list of all the plants that need to get placed somewhere. Indoors I have red and green cabbage, I have broccoli and cauliflower, I have leek, a few perennial herbs like oregano, thyme, sage and chives. I've planted rhubarb, tomatoes and a lot of annual flowers. Outside I've sown even more annual flowers, many of the same varieties actually, so that I can compare how they have grown indoors and outdoors. I've also sown more rhubarb, lots of peas and broad beans. Apart from the sowings I also have seed potatoes, red onions that need to be planted, Jerusalem artichokes that have already been planted, a bare root rhubarb that is growing really well in a pot right now, and some bare root perennial flowers. Okay, so let's first draw in where I plan to put my greenhouse. My plan is to get a polytunnel style structure there in early June. This is where I'll grow my tomatoes this year, and in the fall, winter and early spring I hope to be able to use it for early sowings of both flowers and vegetables. Now that we have that down, let's place the garden beds. I'm making these in a few different ways. Some will be no dig, while others will be very much dug. They will all have a lot of organic material, and I'm not planning on buying any compost or topsoil to bring in, because the transportation is just too much work for me. This means that the soil will be very coarse this first year. I'll pretty much be growing vegetables and flowers on top of the compost heap. This is why I'm not growing any carrots, parsnips or other long root vegetables this year, because they tend to split in coarse soil, so I would rather grow things that do better in this type of soil. Now let's zoom into these frames here. The one on the left is actually already planted. I have a row of hollyhocks sown from seeds last year, so they should be flowering this year. They're a dark purple, almost black variety. In front of them I have some lady's leek from my previous garden. They'll be getting some pink flowers. I also have some mini pak choi that I'll be harvesting early before the hollyhocks are too large. The frame to the right here I'm planning on using as a temporary home for some of my perennial herbs and flowers to give them a nice space to grow for a bit before I decide on their permanent home. I may also use it for spinach, rocket and other quick growing leafy vegetables. Okay, so now let's temporarily take away these flowers here and draw the front garden bed here. I want to place more hollyhocks here, which are sown from seed this year, so they actually probably won't be flowering until next year, and then some other perennial flowers as well. If there's space, I may also put some strawberries here, so they're close to the house and easy to pick. As you can see on my list, I have a lot of rhubarb planned, and I think I'll put it up here. It's one of the earliest things I can harvest in my area, and so I want to have really a lot of it. I'm growing two types. One is just a really classic one, I think it's called Victoria, and the other one is a type with redder stalks called Red Champagne. It's supposed to be also a bit sweeter. So next, let's pretend this pot here isn't upside down, and that this is the pot where I planted my Jerusalem artichokes. They grow to be quite tall and get these sunflower-like flowers. You eat the root, like with potatoes, and they have kind of a mild, creamy consistency. I like them a lot sliced and just fried with some garlic. In this top long garden bed, I'll be growing two types of cabbage, red and green. It'll be interesting to see what kinds of pests I have here, since this is a completely new location to me. This top curved bed is that's going up this hill. I'll just be growing flowers, both perennial and annual. I'm trying to actually draw something that resembles what I've sown. So this orangey pink one is a snapdragon. I saw some with this color and I thought it was just a really nice color. Then some blue cornflowers. These white ones are lemon catnip. The leaves have a really nice lemony smell, and it has small white, maybe slightly pink flowers. I've grown this several times before from seed. It's really easy to grow. In my previous garden, I would sometimes find the stems broken and with little tufts of cat hair stuck to them. I don't think there are any cats in the area here, but it can take the rough treatment anyway. These purple flowers are anise hyssop. Here comes some monarda or bergamot or horse mint. I like the color a lot and I think it just looks very nice. This next pink one is my echinacea plant, which I bought. And then comes some marigolds, and lastly chicory, which I think is a wildflower some places, but I really like the color, and they get lots of flowers along the branches, so I think it looks really nice. There's absolutely no planning of the colors here. Maybe I'll spend some time on that later on, but for now the plan is just to do all sorts of colors that I like individually, and then we'll see how it turns out. Next, I'm filling the rest of these line beds here with some potatoes, broad beans, and red onion. I didn't realize until last summer that I really liked broad beans, so this year I want to grow a lot of them. And I'm really happy that I actually have the space to do that now. In this blob of a garden bed here, I'm going to build a kind of teepee for some of my peas. I think I'll need to plant some other places as well, but most will probably go here. In the second curved bed here, I'll put my broccoli and cauliflower. I think one of the cauliflower types I'm growing has more of a orangey yellow color. And then in this area here, I'll be growing some pumpkins and maybe also squash if there's room. There is kind of a slope going down on the back here, so and it has pretty okay sun conditions, so I'm thinking maybe it'll be a good place for them to grow kind of down the hill. Actually, I realized that I forgot to add these plants to my list because I haven't actually sown them yet. So let's add pumpkin, zucchini, and melon, which I plan to sow really soon. And in the space around the peas here, I'm putting some leeks. I'm growing two varieties, one that's good for storing and one that has purple leaves. Now to the polytunnel. Here I'm drawing in my tomatoes and then the melon in the back. I've never grown melon before, so this will be very interesting to try. Now I'm filling up this area here with some annual flowers, French marigolds, regular marigolds, sunflowers, cornflowers, and nasturtiums. And finally, I also have some large pots that I can use as a backup if there's something left over. For example, I already realized that I forgot to place the beets. I don't think they will do great in a pot, so let's just put them here for now, and then maybe I'll find a better place for them when I'm actually planting them out. I'm also placing an herb of some kind. This could be more of the lemon catnip. This pot here gets some potatoes, and this last one some more leek. My one experience from trying to plan my garden earlier is that it really doesn't turn out like I plan usually. I already see that maybe I should place the beets in the lying bed where I put the potatoes and then instead grow the potatoes in pots. But just planning it out like this is in itself really useful to think through the potential and try to figure out the possibilities and limitations of the space. So thanks for following along today, and I look forward to showing you how it actually turns out later this year.